Hi, Ian Roberts and Mastering Composition. So a few weeks ago, Ann and I went up the coast of California to Cambria, and we were going to paint and take some photographs. And so we had 2 glorious days of sunshine and then one that was sort of overcast. And then we came home. And while I was up there, I took about 350 photographs. And I've been through them, and I can see there's 3 in particular that I think I'm interested in painting for sure. That's sort of 1 in 100. And you know, that's pretty much my average, really. And, you know, there's a well-known photographer named Richard Misrach, and he photographs on big 8x10 sheets of film, right? So each one's expensive, he takes his time. But he says 1 in 100, 2 in 100, after 25 years, my average is no better. It just takes that many to kind of pull out and extract something you really are excited about. But what I thought I'd do is share with you my thinking of the editing process of like, well, why I didn't do those and what about these? And I narrowed it down to about 6. And those 6, I made sketches. And they weren't finished drawings, but they were more than thumbnails, right? They're just looking at clarifying the shapes, making sure that there was good structure, foreground, middle ground, background, there was good overlapping back to that, and sort of seeing the masses on the picture plane, because it really helps me to clarify what's going to happen when I start to paint. And this whole idea, if you haven't seen that new 20-minute video that I've got, you can find it on my website, ianroberts.com. There's a button there to click. I think it'll really help you see this whole idea of structure and masses as the way that I'm looking at composition. So I think you'll find that really useful if you haven't seen it. I used to call this whole series, actually, this channel, the laboratory of the painting process, in the idea that I wanted to take you behind the scenes to the process of how I managed to create paintings. And so you're not really just seeing finished paintings on a gallery wall. You get some sense of what are the steps that led up to it. So I decided on one in particular that I really liked. And so I'll show you that, you know, the whole process and the editing. And next week I paint it, and I'll show you that in next week's video. So we'll see you at the end. Bye for now. I've seen lots of beautiful paintings of waves crashing on rocks. And so it was sunny and it was gorgeous and the waves were crashing. And I must have taken 25, 30 pictures of waves and rocks, but none of them really amounted to anything that I could use. There were lots of shots, maybe another 25 of the coast, just of beaches and shadows and cypresses or whatever kind of tree that is. Yeah, there might be something there, but none of it really grabbed me. There was an early morning when we went out and just were looking at the beautiful shapes of the shadows and so on. Here there's a wonderful lead-in that leads back to not really sure what exactly. And if you crop it, you just, okay, but it doesn't really go anywhere, right? It doesn't really open up into something that I could get. And then there was one where they're kind of raking across. There's great shadows and light, but in kind of a helter-skelter pattern that would be hard to paint and hard to make, give it real coherence, I think. And then there's like one like this, which is sort of from the midground back is working, but the whole foreground is just like a big kind of block. And what happens between that and then the beach? I mean, how far is that? It doesn't really integrate the foreground with the midground very well. And this is sort of the same, but with a lit one rather than a shadowed one. The whole foreground is leading back, but then that big shadow shape and how far, it just doesn't have a good enough structure to my mind. And then the light on the back, it's just fantastic. But the foreground is just, I wouldn't want to have to paint it. It's just sort of a jumble of things I don't know quite what to do with. And you could start saying, I'll figure it out as I go. And you might find that it doesn't quite work. Then this one I just like, the big dark shapes and really simple. And I cropped it and I thought, yeah, this I really like. It sort of reminded me of that image that I did. This one's gridded, but you remember I did a painting of this some time ago. And I thought, whoa, that really turned out well. Maybe that would work. But when I did the drawing, it's just sort of dumb. There's not enough going on, I don't think. So this was another day when it was gray out, and I really liked these kind of foreground shapes leading us all the way back, way into the distance. So I did a sketch of that one. I sort of exaggerated the height of the three planes going in the background, but I thought, that could work. That really has some decent structure to it. And then this one, the part that I liked is that. I just thought that was terrific. The shapes and the darks and those white posts at the back. But the problem is when I drew it, I just got muddled up in that fence in the foreground. And I realized I didn't know how to solve it. It was a very complicated thing to look at. And I just didn't like what I was going to have to do in order to try to solve that. Now this one I really liked. I just liked the same time of day as those other early morning shots, but just looking in the other direction and starting to get the mist. And if I cropped it, then there's this nice foreground grass area in the midground with the light raking across everything, and then that distant sort of misty area with the waves breaking in the distance. So I did a sketch of that, and I didn't really like the sketch very much. It was sort of breaking up, and I did it a second time, just clarifying each of the masses, sky, background, midground, foreground. And I'm thinking, that could be really good. I think I might do a painting of that. Now this one I really like as well. I would clean out all the rocks in the water so it was simpler. There's a really nice sense of light on everything and a lead in as it curves around back to the end of the point. But the problem is, what happens is when I drew it, it was getting really sort of confused in this midground area. As you go back and start making that curve, heading out to the point, I realized I could probably pull it off, but it was a bit of a problem. But then this one seemed to me to solve those things. It had a terrific lead in and then release this into the background area. And I'll show you how it looks cropped. So here's why I like this image. There's a big curve here that I'm going to take more like this because I want us to come here. And I'm going to exaggerate the cerulean blue here and exaggerate the warmth of that. And that's going to be the center of interest. So I have one mass for the sky, two for this whole background area there, 3 for the water, 4 for this big mass here that is going to be pulling us in, and then there'll be sort of the flat mass of these two colors of rocks, and then the rocks here. So that's 5 and 6. So it's really just about 6 major masses. There's this one, this plane, the water, and the background, and then the sky. And then I just have to make sure that there's the lit side and the dark side of this. Most of these rocks I'm going to get rid of. So those are the main value masses. In terms of the structure, there's the horizontal. I'm going to have a gradation in the sky that's going to be pushing us that small distance to here. And then the vertical will be bringing us like that. And there you see the sketch, 4 inches by 5 inches, of the whole background is simple, the water's simple, the gravel's simple, and there's this pull all the way back on that foreground cliff. And so you can see that by simplifying it that much in a drawing, how much I've learned about what's going to happen, and I can make sure that I'm holding on to that idea as I'm painting. So this is the one I decided to paint, and I'll be showing you the painting and the demonstration of this next week. So I hope you found that helpful, that process. I hope it's not sort of looks depressing, like, what, 1 in 100? Oh my God, how am I ever going to find something to paint? I mean, there's 2 aspects of that. I could probably pull a few more out than just those 1 or 2. You know, I might be able to get a few more if I really needed them. But the main thing is, when I'm out there taking pictures, I enjoy that process. I see it as part of the process. And so it's I have enthusiasm for it. And I already know that most of them aren't going to work. So I think it's important just to realize the amount of process that may go into finding an image that's really going to work. And again, I would go to, if you haven't seen that 20-minute video, I would go to my website and go and watch it, because part of it is like a right brain way of approaching the problem in terms of design and in terms of structure. And a lot of times you look at my photographs before, I get these comments, boy, it wasn't much of a photograph. You really made it look quite a nice painting from it. And that's because I'm seeing it in terms of design and structure, and I'm seeing its potential. So I think, again, you'll find that video helpful if you haven't seen it. So listen, have a great week. I will see you on Tuesday. I'll show you that painting that I did, the one that I chose, and have a great week. Bye for now.